dog is not to be diverted from its instinctive purpose. That is a most remarkable story.
I guess some people might think that this is kind of a Frankensteinish project, in that we're sort of recreating some monster with bolts of lightning and this thing's going to come clawing its way off the table. That's not going to happen here.
Some people have seen the head, and they describe it as a dog-like head.
Why do dogs make incredible journeys? What's behind plans to clone an Australasian animal legend? And is there a monster in Sweden's Great Lake? Animal X investigates the weird world of animal mysteries. First, some tales of canines on a mission, one to find their owners at all cost.
Dogs have astounding senses, which are far superior to humans in many ways. But one of their most remarkable abilities still remains a mystery. History is full of documented accounts of dogs who make terrifying and uncharted journeys, crossing immense distances, and often defying death and probability to find their way back to their owners.
Apparently when she rocked back up at the backpackers, she was skinny and very dirty, red dust over her, and she looked like she'd been through a bit.
The dog is not to be diverted from its instinctive purpose.
Their senses are very much more acute than ours. They hear better, they see better, they can smell better.
Animal X travels first to the United Kingdom, and then later Australia, to investigate 3 incredible journeys made by dogs who have managed to defy odds that would challenge even the most capable human. Dennis Bardens is a psychic investigator, renowned author, and founder of the BBC's Panorama program. A pioneer in researching animal mysteries, he reflects on one of his most extraordinary cases.
Best and most dramatic I can think of offhand is that of World War I. There was an officer who came on leave from the trenches. When he went, the dog, which obviously didn't go with him, disappeared. And then, to everyone's amazement, it turned up having crossed the channel somehow and made its way through hundreds of miles of unfamiliar territory that it had never visited. It found its master in the trenches of Armentières. That is a most remarkable story. I mean, how would it know what territory to cross?
Is it instinct, or is it psychic ability? Dennis Bardens believes one explanation is what he calls side trailing, a powerful psychic connection between 2 objects.
There's some link, an invisible link exists between the person, the object or the person being sought, and the seeker.
However, at Murdoch University in Perth, Western Australia, animal behaviorist Garth Jennens believes there might be a more rational theory.
What may be interpreted as extrasensory perception just may be that animals are able to hear and see and understand things perhaps a little bit more than we can.
Yes, dogs have a marvelous sense of smell, but I think it would be generally agreed that if you're going across oceans and through mud, without food, without sleep, there is some other unexplained factor.
What still remains unexplained is how Norfolk farmer Tony Balderstone's border collie found his way home after a robbery with an unexpected outcome.
I went down to get these sheep in, and when I got down there, because I left Roy and Blake in the Land Rover, and I was gone probably about 10 minutes, and when I came back, I just couldn't believe it.
Thieves had stolen the Land Rover, with the 2 sheepdogs still locked in the back.
Because this was on the Wednesday, we didn't hear a thing about it till the Saturday morning, and I had a call from the police to say that there was a dog had been picked up.
One of the dogs was found where the thieves had dumped the car nearly 60 miles away, but the other dog, Blake, was nowhere to be seen. He had already begun the epic journey to find his way home.
And we didn't hear nothing about Blake then till the Saturday night. and the people who'd been to the party had seen him on the way home. We didn't really get any phone calls much then till the Monday morning, and he made it home about lunchtime.
Blake had taken 5 days to find his way home without food or water, crossing major roads and navigating through an area he had never been in before.
You know, there's no explanation for it, is there really?
On the other side of the world, another incredible journey stunned the small rural community of Kalgoorlie in Australia. Les Trumper and his dog Sally were hitchhiking back to the state's capital, Perth, when tragedy struck.
She wanted to get off the rope, so I thought I'll let her off. And yeah, that's when the road trade come past, there's a ladder off, and she runs straight out in front of it, straight over top of her.
The giant truck had hit Sally.
The truck driver went back to his cab and grabbed his small shovel, said, "Oh, we'll bury her in the bush," and dug a hole, maybe 1.5 feet, and just dropped her in the hole and left her there. Sort of, this wasn't the place I wanted to bury her. I want to give her a proper burial. She's like one of my own kids.
But Sally was not about to lie down and play dead. Somehow, the injured animal managed to scratch her way out of her grave and begin a journey across the desolate landscape in search of her master. 6 days later, Les received an amazing phone call from the hotel manager in Kalgoorlie. She said that a dog looking just like Sally had turned up.
I didn't believe it. It was like, no, I buried my dog out there. There's no one in the world that's my dog. And it took him a little while to convince me.
Dazed and badly injured, the dog had found the strength to travel an incredible 35 miles back to Kalgoorlie, through what is perhaps one of Australia's harshest environments.
In a panic situation, dogs are very powerful animals, and they can certainly dig and force their way through things. Once I got out, again, it comes back to these many stories about dogs finding their way back home. If it orientated itself in the right direction and perhaps travelled there back to a familiar location.
Sally is still alive today and living with Les Trumper and his family.
I want her by me at all times, like she is most of the time. Very loyal dog.
It may be behavioral, it may be some unexplained psychic link. There's no precise way of knowing. What we do know is that these animals have overcome great obstacles and even death to reunite themselves with their owners.
If they accept you, whatever you are, whatever you do, and wherever you go, that is that.
Animals may have an inexplicable bond with people, but how are we repaying that favour? After the break, Animal X investigates a controversial plan to clone a unique creature, the Tasmanian tiger. Should science meddle with Mother Nature? And is the tiger in fact not extinct, but still out there?
There's nothing at all to gain by lying about something. It's what we saw with our own eyes.
Welcome back to Animal X. Science meddling with nature can conjure up images of Frankenstein-style experiments with the dead. So what of new plans to clone a Tasmanian tiger?
It lies deep within a museum vault, under guard, a tiny thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger pup. The 130-year-old specimen is regarded by some Australian scientists as priceless. The great hope to build a new generation of this arguably extinct species. First steps in the creature's resurrection have been taken. A controversial cloning experiment now underway.
It's not about playing God. We played God when we exterminated the animals. It's about playing smart human.
You would be a very brave person that would say it is not possible.
Animal X travels to Sydney, Australia, where in a bizarre, brave new world experiment, scientists at the Australian Museum are attempting to use the dead pup to recreate a living thylacine. The plan: to take DNA from the pup's corpse, put those genes into living cells in culture, then implant that into an egg cell in the host. The surrogate mother then carrying a creature not of her kind, her unborn, a thylacine.
You have the heart and the lungs.
I guess some people might think that this is kind of a Frankensteinish project and that we're sort of recreating some monster with bolts of lightning and this thing's going to come clawing its way off the table. That's not going to happen here. I mean, the thylacine was a wonderful, beautiful animal when it was alive. We expect nothing more or less than the same thylacine to come out of this process. Now, if we can get one going, theoretically we can get a number going, we can get the genetic variation back into the population. Yeah, we're on our way to starting to reconstitute a population. There'd be little point in kick-starting one animal that sits there forlornly looking at a picture of a girl thylacine, and that's the end of the game for it. So we need a population of reproducing thylacines. That would be the long-term goal.
Perhaps it is an eerie omen that the pup of this flesh-eating marsupial was preserved in alcohol rather than formalin, which would have destroyed its DNA. Scientists now have heart, liver, muscle, and bone marrow samples containing high-quality DNA.
So the recipe for cooking up thylacine seems to be there, and in big, usable chunks. The next step will be to recover that DNA and start to construct the genetic library using bacteria or yeast. So we've really taken the first big steps. The analogy to the rocket to the moon, we built the rocket, and we're about to fire it.
Whether it's a thylacine or a cat or a cow or a human being, technically there's really no difference in that sense. Obviously, if we start to talk about applications of these technologies to humans, there's major ethical issues there.
The attempt to clone an extinct creature may take years, but in the wrong hands, could developments in this controversial science lead to Frankenstein-type experiments with the dead?
Humans would start cloning humans. Why? My God, the world is filled with humans. I mean, the last creature we need to think about cloning is us.
No one can say yet if the multi-million-dollar experiment will be successful, but genetic scientists are confident what they uncover along the way could help in the fight against deadly human diseases.
The information that you learn about how genes are controlled, how they're regulated during that sort of research program may well have very important consequences for understanding how a gene works in Alzheimer's or how a gene mutates and causes cancer.
American naturalist Campbell lives half a world away from thylacine territory, but this beast has been in his blood for more than 20 years. He argues that the cloning attempt is not some Jurassic Park-styled experiment, but humanity's moral obligation to bring this creature back.
This will be the first time that we've actually been able to reclaim a part of the natural world that has allegedly been destroyed. Cloning has the potential to become one of the most powerful, most influential technologies man's ever created.
But like others, Campbell is not convinced this species is dead. He agrees with other eyewitnesses who argue Tasmanian tigers are still roaming around this wide open land.
Probably over a 2-year span we saw it, well I saw it myself at least 15 or 20 times. I don't know of any other animal that I've ever seen that has got stripes apart from a zebra, and it most definitely wasn't a zebra.
Strangely, Sally lived just a few miles from Western Australia's capital city, Perth, when she had her close encounter with the mystery creature.
It would just stop and stare at us. You know, it like I said before, it just wasn't scared, but it was really quite intrigued with us.
Sally says her most disturbing brush with the creature ended in a bloodbath, her chickens and ducklings massacred.
There was just bodies everywhere.
Scientists, however, scoff at the idea of surviving thylacines.
The structure of thylacine sightings matches almost exactly that of flying saucers. Right after the pub closes.
There's nothing at all to gain by lying about something. It's what we saw with our own eyes.
It is said the last thylacine, Benjamin, died in an Australian zoo in 1936. The question now, should we attempt to bring the species back from the grave?
We're certainly not talking about reanimating dead bodies, as some people might think.
I'm in no doubt this will happen. The question really is not if, about when.
If it does succeed, this experiment will mean extinction is no longer forever, and science fiction will become science fact.
Cloned or not, the Tasmanian tiger remains an intrinsic part of Australasian history. After the break, we look at another animal legend, Sweden's famous lake monster. It's even classified as protected by the government.
This monster is described as having very large ears that look like fans or bat wings, and I find this rather peculiar.
Welcome back. It's claimed the animal world holds many secrets. In Sweden, it's a sea creature that's been seen by scores of eyewitnesses. But could it be a case of mistaken identity? Could the monster be a real-life creature, one that's a phenomenal swimmer?
Could this be proof that Sweden's Lake Stockholm is home to a mysterious monster? Since the days of the Vikings, legend has it that this breathtakingly beautiful abyss is home to a creature unlike any other. Ancient stones carry the monster's image, the long, curving serpent, which it is said since 1635 has sown itself more than 150 times.
So it's not no problem, nothing to be afraid for.
It was so big, I was so frightened.
To investigate this lake legend, Animal X travels to Oscarsson, 350 miles northwest of Stockholm in Sweden. We visit Lake Stockholm, where witnesses claim the creature lurks and lives in an underwater lair. Britt Vidmark believes this could be the mysterious lake-dwelling monster. The picnicker caught the creature on camera during a cruise on the Great Lake in 1996. Whatever it was had humps and was up to 39 feet long. Mrs. Vidmark says, if it had stayed on the same course, it would have crashed into the boat. Instead, it turned and crossed the boat's waterline behind the boat. Experts have examined the footage, but it seems none has been able to pinpoint with accuracy what it might be. I thought it would be something big and scary, but now that I've seen it, it seems to be a friendly animal. Experienced diver Karl-Arne Karlsson claims he was using a flashlight to examine an underwater pipe in the lake when he locked eyes with the creature.
I have my friends in the boat, and I tell them what I have seen, and they think I'm crazy.
Danish zoologist Lars believes the answer to this intriguing mystery could be as simple as a case of mistaken identity. Dr. Thomas has a theory that the monster may in fact be a moose.
This monster is described as having very large, pale ears that look like, fans or bat wings, or. I find this rather peculiar, since that this lake is actually located in probably one of the areas in the world where you have a bigger population of moose than anywhere else in the world.
Dr. Thomas says moose are phenomenal swimmers. One has even survived an 8-mile watery trek from Sweden to Denmark. But Mrs. Vidmark is adamant. I have seen moose in my life, and I can say that it was not that. It has to be something else swimming around down there. Curator of fishes at London's Natural History Museum, Oliver Crimmin, believes eels may be another explanation for the so-called lake monster. He says some eels have amazing survival and migratory skills, enabling them to travel mile after mile from the sea to inland lakes.
Eels, with their thick layer of mucus and keeping water in their gill covers, can move over land for hours. They can stay alive for days out of water.
Jämtland County Museum curator Ulla Oscarsson has spent 25 years researching the legend and talking to eyewitnesses.
Some people have seen the head, and they describe it as quite small, many of them, a dog-like head.
In 1894, hunters built this monster trap in a bid to capture the lake creature. They failed. So too have thousands of others. In 1998, scientists gathered at the Great Lake. Armed with underwater cameras, they embarked on a monster hunt.
They saw something on the screen, that it was a big thing underwater, but they didn't find anything.
But local authorities take the lake monster seriously. In 1986, the local county administration officially protected the unknown animals, proclaiming a special law.
I believe it is something. I cannot say it is a monster, creature even, but I think it is something.
So, whether it's a monster or a moose swimming in Sweden's Lake Stockholm, for now, the unidentified creature is safe, protected by law, and the mystery remains.
From courageous canines on incredible journeys to the controversial cloning of the Tasmanian tiger and Sweden's own monster of the deep, the mysterious tales of the animal world continue to fascinate and perplex us. After all, it's said there are stranger things in heaven and earth than we can think of. You've just seen some of them on Animal X.